today we're going to take a rental car and take a road trip. We're going to go to the northernmost part of Sifnos, to a small little inlet, little village of Cherronisos. Cherronisos, probably, something like that. Cherronisos. Any rate, so one can have a skewed idea of what a area looks like if you are only situated in the resort area. So it's quite nice to get out, take a look at the countryside, see how the rest of the island actually lives, and what the topography, the geography, what the environment, and how it feels, and how populated it is. So it's a great opportunity to, well, especially since we had a rental car, to go ahead and use it today and take this trip. And it's about a 35 from the southern tip of the island to the northern part is about 35 minutes or so, depending on how fast you go. This will give you a pretty good idea of what the topography, the rocks, the vegetation looks like. I mean, one can have a very limited view if you drive into a resort area and your only experience is within that resort area. You have a very limited idea of what the real island or what the rest of the island is going to look like, and this video is going to give you a pretty good idea of what that might look like. I have to say that one might suspect that not a lot has changed perhaps in hundreds of years. Yes, there's a little bit isolated population here and another house over there, but it's pretty wide open. We do see that most of the population is concentrated in the main port areas, and certainly now because of the tourism, where tourism is where people are going to be. We can see that probably economically there's not a whole lot of opportunities out here. There are a little bit of industry that we came across, but not a whole lot. What we can see is these fabulous views from almost every angle. Certainly has kind of a more barren feel, but there's a beauty to it. We can see rock walls built everywhere, and initially I thought that, well, maybe they use that for livestock, and I think it's probably more practical and just as a way to clear the land so they could have some agriculture growing on their property, or even grass to grow for their livestock. They had to move the rocks, and building little fences everywhere was a way to clear the land and not have to haul the rock to some other site. I'm sure it had the secondary purpose of being able to contain their animals. We do see that it's fairly remote out here. It's just occasionally that you see a little house like this. What it lacks in population, it certainly makes up for in stunning views. This is going to be the Aegean Sea that we see, and we're going to see different islands off in the distance. Maybe it's Milos. We are part of the Cyclades island groups. A little bit of wind power. I will say that there does appear to be a constant breeze, and the breeze is quite coolish. I mean, it definitely cools the air temperature down, which can be a bit of a misnomer because you think that it's fairly temperate outside, but the sun is still pretty strong. And so one has to guard against dehydration. As you get into the interior a little bit, let's say you're going to take a hike and you get into the interior, there's not a whole lot of shelter. There really isn't any shelter at all, so be prepared for it to be much hotter than it is close to the coast where the nice refreshing breeze is coming off the water. You're not going to get that in the interior when you're taking a hike. Make sure you bring plenty of water. Or hike in the latter part of the day or in the earlier part of the day. That winding road you see way off in the distance, that's kind of our final destination. So we can see that there's not a whole lot of life out here. There's one little town on the beach, little fishing village, and that's going to be the end of our trip. Beautiful little inlets. So you can see the rock. I have a suspicion that most of the island was like this, just rock everywhere. One of the ubiquitous churches on the island. Quite frankly, they're everywhere throughout Greece. Here's the landscape. Rockscape, really. We're going to finish the trip at the beach. You do feel a little bit exposed and you do heat up a little bit, so the water temperature is definitely refreshing. We're here mid-June and the water temperature feels maybe 70 something, 72 degrees or so, so it's not it's refreshing when you get in. Get a little bit of a kick, but it does a great job of cooling your core down. There's some goats at the end of this road. Lots of rock. This is the little village. So after you've finished exploring that little peninsula, you drive down the road, take a right, and there's two little car parking areas. We parked in the first one and we're going to come upon the second one. So if you don't find parking in the first one, come to the second one. It's a pretty small little community here. Again, I'm always grateful that when you walk up to one of these that people don't have loud blaring music playing. So it has a very chilled, real chilled environment. It's small. I mean, this is clearly off your beaten path. If you are somebody that wants a remote Greek experience, getting to one of these little coves, one of these little islands, little beach town, if you will, is probably a great way to have a off-the-path vacation. You'll see a bunch of fishing boats in the bay. It's got a cute, small little beach. the accommodations look comfortable and accommodating. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next adventure. Subscribe and like.